There is a prison built not of stone and steel, but of numbers and nerves. Its walls are the constant gnawing anxiety of debt, and its bars are the flashing lights of fleeting desires we are told to chase. It is a solitary confinement of the soul, where the warden is the fear of not having enough, and the sentence is a lifetime of quiet desperation. So many of us live within these invisible walls, feeling the crushing weight of our financial choices, dreaming of an escape that feels impossibly distant. We are told the key is a higher salary, a winning bet, or the next big investment, yet these only seem to reinforce the locks. We exist in a world engineered to exploit our deepest insecurities for profit. Every advertisement, every social media feed, every news headline is a carefully crafted assault on our tranquility, designed to make us feel inadequate, fearful, and incomplete. They dangle the promise of happiness in the form of a new car, a luxury watch, or a guaranteed trading strategy, knowing full well it's a mirage. We are conditioned to be insatiable consumers, perpetually chasing a horizon that recedes with every step we take toward it, leaving us more exhausted and emptier than when we began our frantic pursuit of more. The digital casinos and trading apps call to us like sirens from our pockets, promising a shortcut to the life we crave, a life free from the chains of our 9-to-5 jobs. They offer the intoxicating illusion of control, the dopamine rush of a small win, which masks the devastating reality of the larger game being played. It's a rigged game, where the house always wins, not just our money, but our peace of mind, our time, our very character. This modern Colosseum distracts us with flashing lights while it quietly drains our spirit, leaving us feeling foolish, ashamed, and more trapped than ever before. But what if I told you that the key to escaping this prison has existed for over 2,000 years? What if the path to true, unshakable wealth has nothing to do with market trends or lucky breaks? Here, on this channel, we are not financial advisors. We are modern scribes, translating ancient wisdom for the modern soul. Our mission is to arm you with the philosophy that guided emperors and slaves alike through chaos and turmoil. If this mission resonates with you, if you feel that call for something deeper, then support us by liking this video and subscribing. It helps us reach others who are still lost in the dark. Today, we are going to do more than just talk about money. We are going to give you the key. It's a key that unlocks something far more valuable than a bank vault filled with gold. It unlocks the Stoic vault, a fortress within your own mind, a source of inner wealth that no market crash, no recession, and no misfortune can ever touch. This is the secret to indestructible wealth, a profound and lasting peace that money alone can never buy. Stay with me as we embark on this journey to reclaim the power that has always been rightfully yours. Let me tell you about a man we'll call Leo. Leo was the ghost in the machine of the modern economy, a good man working a respectable job, yet he was haunted. Every month was a frantic tightrope walk between his paycheck and his ever-growing pile of bills. He wasn't living, he was merely servicing his debts and his desires. His phone was a constant source of temptation, buzzing with notifications from trading apps that promised financial freedom but delivered only heightened anxiety and a slowly dwindling savings account, feeding his growing sense of personal failure. Leo believed that happiness was just one good trade away. He'd spend his nights bathed in the glow of charts and graphs, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and terror. He was chasing the phantom of a 10-bagger, an investment that would solve all his problems and validate his choices. He ignored the wisdom of Epictetus, who warned us centuries ago to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Leo had staked his entire emotional well-being on the chaotic whims of the market, an external force utterly indifferent to his hopes and dreams. His weekends were no better, often lost in the hypnotic spin of an online roulette wheel, a digital escape from the pressure of his real-world finances. Each bet was a desperate prayer, a plea to the universe for a sign that his luck was about to turn. He was living out the very definition of a tormented soul, as described by Marcus Aurelius, a soul that becomes an abscess on the universe when it rebels against its fate. Leo was in a state of constant rebellion against his financial reality, seeking a miraculous rescue rather than building a disciplined path forward. The world around him only fueled this fire of discontent. His friends flaunted new gadgets and expensive holidays on social media, creating a curated reality that made his own life feel painfully inadequate. He was caught in the consumerist trap that Seneca so eloquently decried, believing that the cure for his dissatisfaction was the acquisition of more things. He failed to realize that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Leo's wants were infinite, and therefore his poverty was absolute, no matter how much money he occasionally made. His debt was a physical weight on his shoulders, a constant tightness in his chest. It was the first thing he thought of when he woke up, and the last thing that haunted him before a restless sleep. He was a slave, not to a master with a whip, but to a credit card statement and a car loan. He had willingly shackled himself in the pursuit of a lifestyle he thought would make him happy, only to find that the shackles themselves were the primary source of his misery. The Stoics knew that freedom is the greatest good, and Leo had traded his freedom for fleeting pleasures. One evening, after a particularly devastating trading loss, Leo found himself at rock bottom. The despair was a cold, heavy blanket. He felt like a failure, a fool who had gambled away his security for nothing. It was in this moment of absolute darkness, scrolling aimlessly for some kind of answer, that he stumbled upon a simple quote attributed to Epictetus. "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us." This single sentence pierced through his haze of self-pity like a ray of light, offering not a solution, but a new direction. He began to read, to devour the words of these ancient philosophers. He learned about Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, yet spent his evenings writing to himself, reminding himself of the importance of virtue, humility, and inner peace. Leo was struck by the fact that a man of such immense power and wealth faced the same inner battles with fear, anxiety, and desire that he did. It made him realize that the problem wasn't the size of his bank account, but the state of his soul. He learned of Seneca, a man of incredible wealth who practiced poverty, sleeping on the floor and eating simple food to train his mind against the fear of loss. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." For the first time, Leo understood. His poverty wasn't a lack of money, it was an excess of wanting. He was poor because he craved the life he saw on Instagram, the quick riches promised by the internet, the validation of external success. His desires were a bottomless pit, and he learned of Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most respected philosophers of his time. Epictetus taught that the world is divided into two categories: things within our control and things outside of our control. Our health, wealth, and reputation are ultimately outside our control. But our judgments, our desires, our actions, these are ours and ours alone. Leo realized he had spent his entire life obsessing over the externals, completely neglecting the one domain where he had absolute power, his own mind. This revelation was the first key turning in the lock of the Stoic vault. The key is perception. It is the profound understanding that our financial reality is not shaped by the numbers on a screen, but by the narrative we tell ourselves about those numbers. The market crash is not the catastrophe. The catastrophe is the panic and fear we attach to it. A job loss is not the end of the world. It is merely an external event, which we have the power to interpret as either a tragedy or an opportunity for reinvention. Leo began to practice this new perception. When he saw an advertisement for a luxury car he couldn't afford, he didn't feel a pang of envy. Instead, he consciously chose to see it as an object of indifference, a thing that had no bearing on his true well-being. He trained his mind to see his reliable old car not as a symbol of his financial struggle, but as a testament to his practicality, a tool that served its purpose perfectly and allowed him to direct his resources towards what truly mattered, his freedom. He looked at his small apartment not as a sign of failure, but as his fortress of solitude. It was the base from which he would launch his rebellion against the tyranny of desire. He started to practice gratitude, a core tenet of Stoic thought. He was grateful for the roof over his head, for the simple food in his fridge, for the very breath in his lungs. This simple shift in perspective began to starve his anxieties and nourish a nascent sense of inner peace that had been absent for years. He applied this to his past losses. The money he had lost in the market and in online casinos was no longer a source of shame. He chose to perceive it as the price of his education, the tuition fee for a life-changing lesson in humility and prudence. He accepted the past, as the Stoics teach, because it could not be changed. He could not control what had already happened, but he could control what he learned from it and how it would shape his actions moving forward into the future. This shift in perception is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it." If you think of your debt as a monstrous enemy, you will be in a constant state of war and fear. But if you choose to perceive it as a challenge to be methodically overcome, a training ground for the virtues of discipline and patience, the entire emotional landscape changes. The problem doesn't change, but your power over it grows immensely. You are not your net worth. You are not your credit score. These are external measurements, as arbitrary as the weather. Your true worth lies in your character, in your ability to remain calm in the face of financial storms, to act with wisdom when others are panicking, and to find contentment regardless of your circumstances. This is the bedrock of Stoic financial philosophy. It is about building an inner wealth that makes the fluctuations of the external world almost irrelevant to your core sense of peace and stability. Think about the language you use when you talk about money. Do you say, "I'm broke," or "My cash flow is tight this month"? The first is a statement of identity, a declaration of failure. The second is a description of a temporary circumstance. The Stoic is precise with their language because they know that words shape perception and perception shapes reality. Start observing your own thoughts about money as if you were an outsider. Challenge the narratives of fear and lack that you have been telling yourself. This is not about pretending that financial problems don't exist. The Stoics were realists, not naive optimists. It is about understanding that your power lies not in changing the events themselves, but in your response to them. You may not be able to prevent a recession, but you can choose to respond with prudence and calm rather than fear and rash decisions. You control your inner world, and that is where the battle for financial freedom is truly won or lost, long before the bank statements arrive. Leo started a journal, just as Marcus Aurelius did. Every morning, he would write down his financial goals, not in terms of numbers, but in terms of character. Today, I will practice patience with my investments. Today, I will resist the urge for an impulsive purchase. Today, I will feel gratitude for what I have. He was rebuilding his mind, one thought at a time, laying the foundation for his inner citadel, a place of unshakable strength. The desire for the quick fix began to fade, replaced by an appreciation for the slow, steady path of the Stoic. He realized that true wealth isn't built overnight in a lucky trade. It's forged over years of disciplined action and wise judgment. The journey itself, the act of becoming a more virtuous and self-controlled person, became the reward. The frantic, desperate energy that had defined his life began to settle into a calm, quiet confidence. He was no longer a gambler. He was becoming a craftsman of his own life. This first key of perception is the most crucial because it unlocks everything else. Without mastering your thoughts, any financial strategy is doomed to fail. You can have the best budget in the world, but if your perception is ruled by fear and envy, you will abandon it at the first sign of trouble. You must first win the war within your own mind. You must see the world not as a source of threats and temptations, but as an arena in which to practice virtue. Once Leo had begun to reshape his perception, he was ready for the second key to the Stoic vault: action. Specifically, right action based on the dichotomy of control. He finally understood that his anxiety came from focusing his energy on things he could not influence, like the daily price of a stock. He made a conscious decision to shift his entire focus to the small daily actions that were completely within his power. This is where the abstract philosophy becomes a concrete, life-altering practice. His first action was to create what he called a Stoic budget. It wasn't about restriction, it was about intention. For every dollar he earned, he asked a simple question: is this expense serving my ultimate goal of freedom, or is it feeding a fleeting desire? He was applying the virtue of wisdom to his finances. He began to see his money not as something to be spent, but as a resource to be allocated in alignment with his deepest values. This transformed the chore of budgeting into a meaningful daily ritual. He ruthlessly cut out the externals that did not contribute to his tranquility. He deleted the trading apps from his phone, recognizing them as sources of agitation. He unsubscribed from marketing emails that fueled his sense of lack. He unfollowed social media accounts that existed only to provoke envy. As Epictetus would say, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. He was content to be seen as boring by a world obsessed with novelty because he was pursuing a greater prize. His next action was to confront his vices directly. The urge to gamble online was still there, a whisper in the back of his mind, promising a quick solution. Instead of trying to ignore it, he faced it with Stoic logic. He would write down the likely outcomes. The best case, a small win that would only fuel the addiction. The worst case, a devastating loss that would destroy his peace of mind. The most likely case, a slow drain of his resources. The choice became clear. He was choosing long-term serenity over a short-term thrill. He started to practice what Seneca called voluntary discomfort. One week, he would intentionally live on half of his usual food budget, not because he had to, but to prove to himself that he could. This simple act of self-imposed hardship had a profound effect. It began to strip away his fear of poverty. He was learning in his bones that his happiness was not tied to material comfort. He was building a resilience that no market downturn could ever shake. He was becoming indestructible from the inside out. With the money he saved from his budget and the cessation of his gambling, he created a simple, automated investment plan. He chose a low-cost index fund, an approach that required no market timing, no frantic chart watching. His only job was to contribute a set amount consistently every single month, regardless of what the market was doing. His action was the contribution, a thing he could control. The market's performance was the outcome, a thing he could not. This separation brought him immense peace. He realized that discipline is not a punishment, but the architect of freedom. Every time he chose to save instead of spend, he was buying back a piece of his future. Every time he paid down a small amount of his debt, he was loosening the shackles. The Stoics teach that virtue is the sole good, and Leo began to experience this directly. The quiet satisfaction he felt after a day of disciplined financial choices was far more profound and lasting than the hollow excitement of a gambling win. This disciplined action extended beyond just his finances. He started exercising regularly, not to achieve a certain look, but to strengthen his will. He started reading more, nourishing his mind instead of distracting it with mindless entertainment. He understood that a strong financial life is built upon a foundation of a strong character. You cannot be disciplined with your money if you are not disciplined in other areas of your life. It is all interconnected. He stopped looking for a financial hero to save him. He stopped listening to the so-called gurus on the internet promising secret formulas for wealth. He embraced the Stoic idea that the only person who could save him was himself. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Leo stopped arguing with himself about what a financially responsible person should do. He simply started doing it, one small virtuous action at a time. The change was not dramatic. There was no single moment of victory. It was a slow, quiet, almost imperceptible transformation. It was the sum of hundreds of small, conscious choices made every single day. The choice to make coffee at home instead of buying it. The choice to take a walk in the park instead of browsing online stores. The choice to read a book of philosophy instead of watching financial news. Each choice was a brick being laid in the foundation of his inner citadel. He began to understand that progress, not perfection, is the goal. There were days when he felt the pull of old habits, moments of weakness where the desire for an easy fix resurfaced. But now, he had the tools to handle them. He would not shame himself for the thought. He would simply observe it, acknowledge it without judgment, and gently guide his actions back toward his chosen path. This was the practice of Stoic mindfulness, the vigilant guardianship of one's own mind. His relationship with work also began to change. He no longer saw his job merely as a means to an end, a source of a paycheck to fund his desires. He started to see it as an opportunity to practice virtue, patience with difficult colleagues, diligence in his tasks, honesty in his dealings. He focused on being a good employee, on providing value, because that was the part he could control. This new attitude not only brought him more satisfaction, but ironically, also made him more valuable to his employer. The essence of the second key, action, is this. Build your financial life around a core of principles, not a series of predictions. The principles are timeless. Live below your means, avoid debt, invest consistently, and value wisdom over wealth. Predictions about which stock will go up or when the next recession will hit are a fool's game. The Stoic plays a different game entirely, the inner game of mastering the self, which is the only game where victory is truly guaranteed. Imagine your financial life as a ship. For years, Leo had been obsessed with predicting the weather, trying to sail only when the seas were calm and the winds were favorable. Now, he was ignoring the weather forecasts and focusing all his energy on building a stronger, more resilient ship and becoming a more skillful sailor. He knew storms would come, they always do, but he was confident that he had the vessel and the skill to navigate them safely to his destination. This is the empowerment that comes from focusing on your own actions. It moves you from a passive state of hoping and wishing to an active state of doing and becoming. You are no longer a victim of the economy. You are the master of your own financial destiny. You are not defined by the cards you are dealt, but by how you choose to play them. This is the very heart of Stoic freedom, a freedom that begins the moment you decide to take responsibility for your own choices. Let's pause here for a moment. This journey from a state of financial slavery to one of Stoic wisdom is a deeply personal one, filled with unique challenges. Leo's story is just one example. Many of you watching are fighting your own silent battles. With the crushing weight of student loans, the seductive pull of consumer culture, or the quiet shame of a financial mistake that continues to haunt you. You are not just a viewer of this channel, you are a fellow traveler on this difficult but rewarding path. The ancient Stoics had their schools, places where they could gather and discuss these ideas, supporting each other in their practice. In the modern world, we have this digital space. This community is our stoa, our porch where we can gather. It's a place where we can share our struggles without judgment and our victories without ego. Knowing that you are not alone in your fight is one of the most powerful catalysts for change. It transforms a solitary struggle into a collective journey. This is why your participation is so incredibly valuable. It breathes life into these ancient ideas, making them relevant and powerful in the 21st century. When you share your experiences, you are holding up a lamp for someone else who is walking in the dark, showing them that there is a way forward. You are reminding them that their struggles are not unique signs of their failure, but a part of the shared human condition that these great philosophers sought to understand and navigate. Your voice matters more than you know. The algorithm may see it as engagement, but we see it as the digital pulse of a growing movement of people who are choosing wisdom over wealth, tranquility over turmoil, and character over consumption. Every comment, every shared story is a small act of defiance against a culture that wants us to remain anxious and dissatisfied. It is a declaration that we are choosing a different path, a better way to live our lives. So, I want to ask you directly, and I encourage you to be honest with yourself and with us. What is the one financial chain that feels the heaviest to you right now? Is it a specific debt? Is it the habit of comparing yourself to others? Is it the fear of an uncertain future that paralyzes you from taking action? By naming it, you take the first step towards breaking it. You bring it out of the shadows of your mind and into the light where it can be examined and dismantled. Take a moment to go down to the comments section and share that one great challenge. You don't need to share numbers or personal details, just the nature of the struggle itself. For example, my biggest challenge is breaking the cycle of emotional spending, or I'm fighting the urge to constantly check my investment portfolio. By doing so, you will not only find that you are not alone, but you will also give others the courage to name their own struggles, creating a chain of support and mutual understanding. Read through the comments left by your fellow travelers. You will see your own fears, your own struggles reflected in the words of others. Offer a word of encouragement to someone whose story resonates with you. This simple act of connection is the antidote to the isolation that financial anxiety thrives upon. Together, we can transform this comment section from a simple feature on a website into a powerful tool for collective growth and healing, a true community of modern Stoics. This is how we practice philosophy in the real world. It's not just about reading old books. It is about living these truths and helping others to do the same. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to behave like a human being. Part of that is recognizing our shared vulnerabilities and extending a hand to those who are struggling alongside us. This community is our opportunity to put that noble idea into practice, to build something meaningful together that helps us all on our individual journeys. So please, take this moment to engage. Your story is a vital piece of this larger puzzle we are all trying to solve. What is that single financial fear that controls your perception? What external event feels like a disaster waiting to happen? Share it in the comments below. Let's build this community of support, this digital stoa, and dismantle these fears together, showing each other that we are not alone in this fight for financial and spiritual freedom. Thank you for your courage in sharing. Every comment is a testament to the strength of this community and the universal relevance of these ancient ideas. Now, let us turn to the third and final key required to unlock the Stoic vault, the one that binds the first two together and makes your newfound strength truly unbreakable. This is the key that allowed the Stoics to face exile, poverty, and even death with a calm and rational mind. It is the key that transforms resilience into a state of profound joy. The third key is the will. More specifically, it is the Stoic discipline of the will, which can be summarized in the powerful concept of amor fati, a love of one's fate. It is the practice of not just accepting everything that happens in your life, but embracing it, loving it as if you had chosen it yourself. This includes your financial struggles, your past mistakes, your unlucky breaks. It means seeing every event, good or bad, as a necessary and vital part of your personal journey. Leo had learned to change his perception and to take disciplined action, but this was the final transformative step. He had made a financial mistake in the past, a bad investment that cost him dearly. For years, he carried it as a mark of shame. But through the lens of amor fati, he began to see it differently. That painful loss was not a mistake. It was the exact lesson he needed to learn to become the wise and prudent person he was destined to be. He began to feel gratitude for the lesson, not resentment for the loss. This is a radical idea in a world that tells us to constantly strive, to be dissatisfied with our circumstances, to rage against our misfortunes. The Stoic will, however, find strength in alignment with reality. To wish for the past to be different is a form of madness, a waste of precious energy. By loving your fate, you reclaim all of that wasted energy and focus it on the present moment, on the next right action you can take from where you are, not from where you wish you were. Think of a major financial setback you've experienced, a job loss, a failed business, an unexpected expense that wiped out your savings. Our natural reaction is to see these events as obstacles, as unfair blows from a cruel universe. The Stoic, practicing amor fati, chooses to see them as training. The universe is your sparring partner, strengthening your resilience, testing your character, and revealing your weaknesses so that you can work on them. Every setback is a gift of self-knowledge. This is the ultimate source of indestructible wealth. It is the realization that your well-being is not dependent on external outcomes. If you can truly love your fate, then nothing can harm you. A market crash? You love it, for it teaches you humility and presents a buying opportunity. A period of high inflation? You love it, for it trains you in the art of frugality and conscious spending. You become invincible, not because you can prevent bad things from happening, but because you have chosen to find the good in whatever happens. This doesn't mean you become passive or fatalistic. The Stoics were men of action. You still take all the prudent steps. You budget, you save, you invest wisely, but you detach your inner peace from the results of those actions. You do the right thing, and then you accept the outcome, whatever it may be. As Epictetus would put it, you play the role you have been given to the best of your ability, without complaining about the script. The quality of your performance is all that matters. Leo applied this to his future. He stopped worrying about whether he would be rich one day. His goal was no longer a specific number in his bank account. His goal was to live virtuously, to be a good man, a wise steward of his resources, a disciplined student of philosophy every single day. The outcome of that practice, whether it resulted in great wealth or simple sufficiency, was up to fate. He had surrendered his anxiety about the future, and in doing so, had found a profound sense of peace in the present. This is the true meaning of being wealthy. It is not having an abundance of possessions, but having a will that is in perfect harmony with reality. It is the freedom from the emotional turmoil of hope and fear. Hope for a specific outcome can be just as unsettling as fear of it. The Stoic replaces both with a calm and joyful acceptance of the present moment, trusting that they have the inner resources to handle whatever the future may bring. Their confidence is not in their portfolio, it is in their character. This is why the Stoics could face immense hardship with such grace. Seneca, facing an order of execution from the Emperor Nero, calmly settled his affairs and spent his last moments consoling his grieving family. He was not a victim of his fate. He was a willing participant in it. He had trained his will his entire life for this moment, to accept reality as it is, without protest. While this is an extreme example, the principle applies directly to our financial lives. Can we face a 10% portfolio drop with the same equanimity? The Stoic Vault is not a place where you hoard your money. It is the inner citadel of your mind, fortified by these three keys: the perception that you control your inner world, the disciplined action you take in the outer world, and the will to love whatever outcome results from that action. When these three keys are used together, they unlock a state of being that is truly indestructible. Your happiness is no longer a fragile thing, dependent on a rising market or a steady paycheck. It becomes a solid, internal foundation. Leo's life began to blossom. Freed from the constant stress of financial worry, he became a better employee, a more present friend, a calmer and happier person. People noticed the change in him, a quiet confidence that was magnetic. He never talked about his net worth, but he radiated a kind of wealth that was far more compelling. He had what we all secretly crave, a mind that is at peace with itself and with the world. He still faced challenges. There were unexpected bills, moments of market volatility, and temptations to revert to his old ways of thinking. But now he had a framework, a philosophy to guide him. He would return to the words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus as a traveler returns to a well for water. The wisdom was always there, ready to quench his anxieties and clarify his path. He was no longer navigating the treacherous sea of life alone in a flimsy raft. He was at the helm of a sturdy ship. The beauty of this philosophy is its simplicity and its accessibility. You do not need a fancy degree or a secret password to unlock the Stoic Vault. The keys are available to everyone right now in this very moment. It begins with a single conscious choice. The choice to shift your focus from what you cannot control to what you can. The choice to value your character above your possessions. The choice to accept reality instead of fighting against it. This is the ultimate secret to wealth that no financial advisor will ever tell you. They are in the business of managing your money, which is an external. The Stoics were in the business of managing your soul, which is the internal source of all true and lasting value. When you get your inner world in order, your outer world, including your finances, has a remarkable way of falling into place. You start making better decisions, not out of fear or greed, but from a place of wisdom and calm. So let's review the three keys that unlock the Stoic Vault. The first key is perception, understanding that it is not events, but our judgments about them that cause our suffering. We have the power to choose our response. The second key is action, focusing our energy exclusively on what is within our control, our habits, our discipline, our choices. And the third key is the will, joyfully accepting and even loving whatever fate brings, transforming every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. You can continue down the common path, a path of quiet anxiety, constantly chasing more, fearing loss, your happiness tethered to the unpredictable whims of the economy. Or you can choose this Stoic path. Imagine a version of yourself who is calm, confident, and resilient. A person who is not disturbed by market news, who is free from the grip of consumerism, who faces financial challenges with wisdom and grace. This version of you is not a fantasy. It is a possibility waiting to be realized. The journey begins today with the next small choice you make. When you feel the urge to check your stocks, can you choose to read a paragraph of Stoic wisdom instead? When you feel the pang of envy from a social media post, can you choose to practice a moment of gratitude for what you have? These are the small battles where the war for your freedom is won. It is a quiet revolution that takes place within the privacy of your own mind. Leo's story is no longer one of desperation. He still lives a simple life, but it is a life of immense richness. His wealth is measured not in dollars, but in his freedom from fear. He has unlocked the Stoic Vault, and what he found inside was not gold or stock certificates, but himself. He found a core of inner strength and peace that he never knew he possessed. He discovered that the freedom he was desperately seeking in the external world was waiting for him all along, within his own mind. This is the promise of Stoicism. It is not a promise of riches, but a promise of something far better, a promise of tranquility. It is the promise that no matter what happens in the world, no matter how chaotic the markets become or how difficult your circumstances get, you have within you a fortress that cannot be breached, a source of strength that cannot be depleted, and a well of peace that can never run dry. This is indestructible wealth. The path of the Stoic is a path of training. It is a daily practice, a lifelong commitment to strengthening your mind and character. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you fall short. But as long as you continue to get back up, to return to the principles, to make the next right choice, you are succeeding. The goal is not to be a perfect sage overnight, but to make progress, however small, each and every day. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Consider the word indestructible. It does not mean something that cannot be scratched or dented. It means something whose essential nature cannot be destroyed. A diamond can be scratched, but it remains a diamond. Your portfolio can be dented by a market downturn, but if your wealth is in your character, your wisdom, your resilience, its essential nature remains intact. You remain intact. This is the security that Stoicism offers, a security that is far more reliable than any financial instrument. This philosophy is not about suppressing emotion. It is about transforming it. The Stoic feels fear, but is not controlled by it. They feel desire, but are not a slave to it. They process these emotions through the lens of reason and virtue, choosing a wise response rather than a knee-jerk reaction. It is the difference between being the rider of the horse of your emotions and being dragged along behind it. The Stoic learns to hold the reins firmly, but gently. The modern world tells you that your value is external, your job title, your income, the car you drive. Stoicism offers a radical and liberating alternative. Your value is entirely internal. It lies in the quality of your thoughts, the virtue of your actions, and the resilience of your will. Once you truly grasp this, the entire game of life changes. You are no longer competing with anyone. You are only focused on becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Leo finally understood. The flashing lights of the online casino were a cheap imitation of the inner light of wisdom. The thrill of a stock going up was a pale shadow of the deep tranquility that comes from a disciplined mind. He had been chasing echoes and ignoring the source of the sound. He had been seeking wealth in all the wrong places. The real treasure, the indestructible wealth, was the peace that comes from living a life aligned with reason, virtue, and nature. This is the invitation being offered to you today. It is an invitation to step off the hamster wheel of modern financial anxiety. It is an invitation to a path that is thousands of years old, yet more relevant today than ever before. It is an invitation to stop being a passive spectator of your own life, tossed about by external forces, and to become the calm, confident, and wise architect of your own inner world. The key is in your hand. The vault is waiting to be opened. The journey doesn't end when you close this video. In fact, it is only the beginning. The principles we have discussed today are not intellectual curiosities. They are tools to be used, muscles to be strengthened through daily exercise. The Stoics knew that knowledge without action is useless. Reading about virtue is not the same as being virtuous. Therefore, the challenge is to integrate these ideas into the fabric of your daily life, starting now. Take one idea from this discussion and apply it today. Just one. Perhaps it's the practice of negative visualization, briefly meditating on the loss of something you value to cultivate gratitude for it. Or maybe it's the dichotomy of control. When you feel anxious, ask yourself, is this within my control or not? If it's not, practice letting it go. Small, consistent actions are what build the unshakable foundation of a Stoic mind. Remember the story of Leo. He was not saved by a sudden windfall or a secret investment tip. He was saved by a change in philosophy. He shifted his focus from accumulating external goods to cultivating internal virtues. This is a power that every single one of us possesses, regardless of our current financial situation. It is the ultimate democratic form of power. It is free, and no one can ever take it away from you. Do not be discouraged if this feels difficult at first. You are undoing years, perhaps decades, of conditioning from a culture that has taught you the opposite of these principles. Be patient with yourself. As Epictetus, the former slave, reminded his students, no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Your financial and spiritual ripening will take time. There will be seasons of blossoming and seasons where it feels like nothing is happening. Trust the process. Continue to water the plant with your daily practice of reading, reflection, and right action. The fruit of tranquility will grow in its own time. The goal is not to rush to the harvest, but to tend to the garden with diligence and care each and every day. The world will continue to tempt you with shortcuts and easy answers. It will continue to scream that your worth is measured by your possessions. You must learn to see this noise for what it is, the desperate cries of a system that profits from your anxiety. Your practice of Stoicism is your shield. It allows the noise to wash over you without disturbing the quiet calm of your inner citadel. Surround yourself with this wisdom. Make the writings of the Stoics your companions. Let their words be the first thing you read in the morning and the last thing you reflect on at night. Let them become the trusted advisors in your mind, guiding you toward wiser, more tranquil choices. You are joining a conversation that has been going on for 2 millennia, a conversation about the most important questions in life: how to live well and how to find peace in a chaotic world. The freedom you seek is not in a bank account. It is in your perception, your actions, and your will. It is the freedom to be calm amidst chaos, the freedom to be content with what you have, and the freedom to face an uncertain future without fear. This is the indestructible wealth that the Stoics discovered, and it is your birthright. It has been there all along, locked within you, waiting for you to find the keys and turn the lock. Look again at the world around you, but this time through the eyes of a practicing Stoic. See the frantic chase for more, not with judgment, but with compassion. See the fear-mongering headlines not as threats, but as tests of your tranquility. See your own financial situation not as a source of stress, but as your personal training ground for virtue. The world doesn't change, but your experience of it is completely transformed into something richer and more meaningful. This path is not for everyone. It requires honesty, courage, and discipline. It is far easier to blame the economy, our bosses, or our bad luck for our financial troubles. It takes immense strength to look inward and take full responsibility for our own inner world. But for those who choose this path, the rewards are beyond measure. The prize is not a fleeting pleasure, but a lasting and profound peace of mind, a true and unshakable freedom. Every time you pay down $1 of debt, you are not just changing a number on a statement. You are making a statement of your own values. You are declaring that you choose freedom over servitude. Every time you invest in a simple index fund, instead of gambling on a risky stock, you are choosing patience over greed. Your financial actions become expressions of your philosophy, turning the mundane act of managing money into a noble spiritual practice. Think about the legacy you want to leave. Do you want to leave behind a legacy of assets or a legacy of character? The Stoic strives to leave both, but understands that the latter is infinitely more valuable. By becoming a master of your own mind, you become a beacon of calm and wisdom for your family and your community. This is a form of wealth that can be passed down through generations, far more valuable than any inheritance. The choice is yours, and it is available to you in this very moment. You can continue to be a leaf blown about by the winds of fortune, or you can decide to become the tree, rooted deeply in the soil of Stoic principle, unbowed by the storms that will inevitably come. The power to make this choice is the greatest power you possess. Do not neglect it. Do not give it away to the merchants of fear and desire. Claim it as your own. The Stoic vault is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is the fortress you build, brick by brick, with every virtuous choice, every moment of rational self-control, every act of joyful acceptance. The process of building it is the reward. The person you become while laying those bricks is the treasure. The peace you feel within its walls is the indestructible wealth you have been seeking all along. Let this be the day you stop searching for the key outside of yourself. The market holds no secrets for you. The lottery ticket is a false idol. The financial guru is selling you a map to a land that doesn't exist. Turn your gaze inward. The Stoics have already drawn the map for you. The territory is your own mind. The journey is the practice of virtue. And the destination is a peace that surpasses all understanding. This is not just a philosophy for tough times. It is a philosophy for all times. In moments of prosperity, it guards you against arrogance and foolish excess. In moments of adversity, it provides comfort and unwavering strength. It is an all-weather operating system for the human mind, designed to help you flourish regardless of your external circumstances. It is a guide to living a good life, a life of purpose, meaning, and profound tranquility. As you move forward from this moment, carry with you the image of Leo, not the desperate man at the beginning of our story, but the calm and confident man he became. See him not as a fictional character, but as a symbol of your own potential. The transformation he underwent is possible for you too. It is not a matter of luck or privilege, but a matter of choice and disciplined practice. You have the same capacity for wisdom and resilience within you. Let the words of the great Stoics echo in your mind. When you feel anxious, hear Epictetus asking, "Is this in my control?" When you fear loss, hear Seneca reminding you to practice poverty. When you feel overwhelmed by the world, hear Marcus Aurelius counseling you to retreat into your own inner citadel. You are not alone on this path. You have the wisest minds in history as your guides and companions on the journey. The ultimate freedom is not the freedom to do whatever you want. It is the freedom from being controlled by your desires, your fears, and your appetites. It is the freedom to act in accordance with your own highest values, even when it's difficult. This is the freedom that the Stoics cherished above all else. It is the only freedom that is truly worth having, and it is the only freedom that can never be taken away from you by anyone or anything. Your financial life is the perfect training ground for this philosophy. It is a realm filled with emotion, uncertainty, and temptation. By applying these Stoic principles to your money, you are not just improving your finances, you are forging your character. You are undertaking the great work of philosophy, which is to transform your soul from a state of turmoil to a state of serene and unshakable calm. You are becoming a philosopher in the truest sense of the word, a lover of wisdom. So unlock the vault. The keys are yours. Use the key of perception to reframe your reality. Use the key of action to build disciplined habits. And use the key of the will to embrace your fate with courage and grace. Do this, and you will discover a wealth that is not subject to inflation, a security that is not dependent on the markets, and a peace that is truly and completely indestructible. You will have become the master of yourself and your world. Do not let this just be another video you watched. Let this be a turning point. Make a commitment to yourself right here, right now. A commitment to take one small step on this path. Pick up a copy of Meditations. Start a journal. Have an honest conversation with yourself about your financial habits. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step now, with intention and with hope. The promise of this path is not an easy life, but a fortified one. It is the promise that you can build an inner resilience so powerful that life's challenges no longer have the power to break you. Instead, they become the very tools that shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more virtuous human being. You will learn to find joy not in the absence of problems, but in your growing ability to meet them with courage and grace. Remember, the goal is not to become unfeeling like a statue. The Stoic is not without emotion. They are simply not a slave to it. The goal is to feel everything the world has to offer, the joy and the sorrow, the success and the failure, but to pass it all through the filter of reason and to maintain your inner equilibrium. It is to live a full and vibrant life, but on your own terms, guided by your own inner compass, not by the shifting winds of fortune. Thank you for walking this path with me today, for dedicating your time to exploring these profound and life-changing ideas. The journey to becoming a financial Stoic is a marathon, not a sprint, and it requires daily reinforcement. We are here to be your companions on that journey. If you found value in this discussion, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every single day to provide you with the wisdom and encouragement you need to continue building your inner citadel and unlocking your own indestructible wealth.